I'm in Spain, about 40 miles outside Madrid in the Sierra de Madrid, the mountains, and it's quite chilly here. And we're at a place which is called the Valley of the Fallen, which is highly controversial, revered by a few and loathed by quite a large number. The Valley of the Fallen is where Franco is buried. And Emilio Silva here runs an organisation which we'll talk about a little bit more. Emilia, tell me what this place means to you.
This place is the monument dedicated to a dictatorship. I think it's the only monument in Europe Union dedicated to a man who destroyed a democracy. And for me, it's very sad because in my country, all the citizens have to pay with the taxes this big mausoleum for a dictatorship like Francisco Franco.
And he is actually buried inside there?
Yes.
Along with lots of other people. The Valley of the Fallen is supposed to represent all those who fell in the civil war which led to the emergence of the Franco regime.
At the beginning of the project for Franco, this monument is only for the winners of the civil war, but in the 50s he changed and created the idea of the Spanish reconciliation, and they put also bones of the Republican.
And if you, watching this, would like to send any messages to Emilio to ask him yourself about it, you will know there was a most terrible civil war in Spain in the late 30s. Very vicious, lots of people died, other countries became involved, Russia and other democracies as well, and it was a hideous part of the past. What is interesting, first of all, about this is if you look at that, can we go across here and look at the...
Yeah, the seal?
Yes.
This is the seal of the Franco's regime.
On the wall there. That.
Yes, is the sign of...
Let's have a close-up look if we can.
Yes, more or less the Franco sign here. And we have an historical memory law in Spain. This law is forbid this kind of symbols, but here is waiting for the government to keep out.
I'm going to ask you in a moment how you explain that, but just to get the geography of this right first, if we look up there to that giant cross, which is a Catholic.
Yes, they say it's the biggest cross in the world, and this cross, I can see this cross from Madrid, from my house, and I think it's the message because Franco want to create the idea of the national Catholicism here in Spain, and this monument is managed by the Catholic Church in Spain. Because
you would think that it would symbolize peace, reconciliation, harmony. That would be the idea.
I don't have this. No, I don't have this feeling. For me, it's very, very terrible place because during the 40s and the 50s, a lot of political slaves were here building this monument to the glorification of the dictators.
Political prisoners built this.
Yes, more or less 10,000 people working here on winter, very hard. And where some of them die here.
So they died here building.
Yes.
And where are the apart from Franco and also Primo de Rivera, who was another dictator who preceded Franco and then was also supporting Franco, the other bodies, the 30,000 bodies, where exactly are they?
Exactly into the basilica, in the right side and in the left side.
All along there?
in the mountain, into the mountain.
Uh-huh.
Yes, into the mountain here and there. There are 33,000 persons, the bones of 33,000 persons.
33,000. But are the idea was that they were supposed to represent all those who fell. But your organisation, which is the Association for the Recovery of Historical Memory, wants to allow those bodies to be removed from here.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Oh, the first of the bodies are the body of Franco. I don't want to pay the mausoleum for the dictatorship. And the other one because the relative is trying to take the bones and put them in the family cemeteries in some different parts of Spain. And I think they have the right to...
So the bodies were brought from all over different parts of Spain?
Yes,
dug up from where they were buried and brought here?
Yes. Thousands from Andalusia, the north, the west, cemeteries, graves, in every country we have a lot of graves, and they take the bodies from the grave and put into the valley.
So for you, it's a very grim place. It's not a place of memorial at all.
I think it's a place of memorial, but we need to change the meaning. I think this monument have to tell the story of the political slave. Who were the political slave? Why they have to build this monument, and what happens with them? Like in a concentration camp.
What got you? I mean, you've been a journalist, you've been an academic. What got you involved in an association designed, again, the recovery of historical memory? What does that mean? What's the idea?
The idea is to break the silence, because after the Franco's death in Spain, the parliament, our culture create a deal of silence, el pacto de silencio in Spain. And we want to break the silence, to talk about the past, to look for the missing persons, like my grandfather, and to give justice for the relatives and the victims of the Franco's regime, because there are political prisoners, there are more than 100,000 missing persons in ditches, in roads in Spain, and I think families like my family have the right to recover the bones of my grandfather, and the Spanish society have to say thank you for the people who fight against the fascists in Spain.
Are there lots of people who feel like you, or are you an activist with a small group that feels very passionately for your family's sake and your own attitudes, your hostility, your hatred of Francoism?
There are people who say you have to leave the past. We made a reconciliation during the transition, but I have to say I want to look for my grandfather. The right for the dignity, it's not depends of the political ideas. It's for everybody, and I don't want to leave the body of my grandfather in a ditch. I want to put the bones of my grandfather with the bones of my grandmother, because it's very important for our culture to give love after the death.
All around the world, in South America, in Africa, in Asia, there is a history of people who die in terrible conflict, and very often the bodies aren't found, and there are organizations set up to recover the disappeared.
Oh, yes.
You see it in after the dictatorships in South America a lot. But there's, and that's endorsed and supported now by the democracies. Is that, to what degree?
The real identity of this person.
Elsewhere in some parts of the world, South Africa for instance, there was truth and reconciliation.
Yes.
No truth and reconciliation here. You're talking as though there's a lid being put on the past, silence the past, and then we can go forward.
Here in Spain, we don't know what is the reconciliation, and now some people working in transitional justice say the reconciliation word is empty, because what is the meaning of the reconciliation? If I have a lot of people missing in Spain, I cannot talk about reconciliation.
I got one of the Facebook questions that's come in is why dig up and rebury the people here? It's Teresa Early who's asking that. Why do it?
Why? Because Spain go into the United Nations in 1955, and then the Franco's regime need to show to the world the reconciliation, and then the Franco's regime decide to look for people from the Republican people and fascist people, and make here a representation of a kind of reconciliation. But the families of the Republicans never have the possibility to decide if they want to take the bones here or not.
This is someone commenting here. Betty Ryder comments, Andrew Duffel comments, it's an eerily quiet place, and one I would not want to be at. It is quite eerie here. Is it much visited though by people? Do people come here a lot?
Some years before there is a lot of people here. Now the meaning of the monument is changing because we are changing the meaning of this monument. We have near Madrid the Royal Tour with the Escorial and the Valle of Valle.
Yes.
But now is not a place. Some years ago, the school boys come here with the teachers to learn this building, but now it could be a scandal if the people from the school came here.
So what is the meaning now of this place? You've said how you feel about it. What does it represent in Spanish life? I could imagine that it, as it were, stands as a statement still of unresolved problems for Spain. Is that fair or not as a comment?
I think this place is a hole in our democracy. And there is a report of the Spanish government from 7 years ago, and the report say, from some experts, say the Franco's body have to leave the monument, and we have to change the meaning of the monument. And we are waiting for the monument. But the meaning today, I think, is a hole in our democracy, and nobody in the government want to repair this question. They prefer to look to another side.
We look at Spain today as an important member of the European Union, an important democracy. It's an important member of the United Nations, the international community. Franco's long gone. You seem to be saying that this issue is an unresolved issue for Spain.
Yes, we need to resolve these questions with the past, because we have a very, very pathological relation with this past. If you can see this monument, but if you go to Madrid now, you go into another big monument. This monument celebrates the victory of Franco, Hitler, and Mussolini in Spain. Perhaps he in Spain was the beginning of the Second World War, because the fascists were here fighting for the first time in Europe. No?
Do you have hope that the issue will be resolved in a way that you would like? That's to say, Franco goes from here, this is just a ruin that people can visit and say, this was once the past, like you might do in ancient Rome or in ancient Greece?
I think the democracy in Spain is growing and is better today, and in the future will be better, and this society have to change their relation with this monument, and I think we have to celebrate and say thank you for the people who fight against Franco, because it's the people who, after liberate, for example, Europe from the Nazis, many Republicans at the end of the Spanish Civil War went to France and fight with the resistance against
the partisans.
Yes. And I think it's the people who create the democracy in Europe, and this place have to say thank you for these people.
So you as it were, you actually have hope, yeah?
Yes, I am.
Despite your intense hostility to this place, you have
Yes,
hope that it
hope.
will come to play a part in Spain's history that is useful for Spain rather than a stain. Would that be a fair way of putting it?
I am hope, because my grandfather was killed because he wanted a public school on his village.
A state school?
Yes,
a state-run school?
Unlike a school.
Yeah.
And my daughter today is in a state school. It's the dream of my grandfather, and it's the representation of this different moment in our history. And I think we have to change these questions, because in Spain there is a new generation, the grandsons generation, fighting to have a better democracy. And when I was child, I was 10 years old when Franco's died. I never studied nothing about the Franco's regime in the school. And now in the Spanish schools, in the school books, we start to have information about the violations of human rights of the Franco's dictatorship.
It's a reminder, isn't it? It's that history takes a long time. You can't just say a snapshot of a country, it's like this. History is a slow process.
Yes,
the evolution of democracy doesn't happen in one
Yes.
day. This is Italo Marino is asking, can this reburial divide Spanish society? If a reburial of Franco occurs, can it divide Spain?
Yes, but it's normal. divide society in a democratic country. No, perhaps sometimes the government say you are dividing Spaniards if you are looking for missing people and you want to change this monument. But I think it's normal in a democratic country, the division in different group of opinions. We have some problems. For example, 3 years ago in the European Parliament,
Parliament,
we tried to put an exhibition about the mass grave, and the European Parliament say you cannot put the exhibition here because could be controversial. And I say the controversial and Parliament for me are similar words. No, what happens? Why cannot have discussions with different groups in Spain about this monument? We need to discuss, because in Spanish there is a word to explain very good this question. The word is expression. In Spain means left to be a prisoner. Yes, and we need to express the very hard moments of the dictatorship to liberate
yourself from that
past. Yes.
Emilio, it's been fascinating hearing you talk and sort of getting a strong sense of your passion about how Spain was, how Spain still is, and how